Hello,
I have no idea.
welcome to Boys Discussing Some Movies, episode 5. Episode 5.
Yeah.
Finally, my pick. We just finished watching 2016's The Wailing. It is a Korean horror movie. There it is. It was directed by Na Hong-jin, and
One of the best.
I'm going to give a attempt to make a brief synopsis. A village, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, suddenly has a bunch of like grisly murders happening, and we have our main character, Jong-gu, who is a policeman and also a dope. And he is attempting to solve... He gets thrown in a bunch of situations trying to solve the mystery or these crimes and find out who is committing these murders. And it eventually gets personal when his daughter... his young little girl daughter is either cursed, becomes a part of this, and he's doing his best to save her. And a lot of other things happen as well. And I think that's as best as I can do. I don't know. I'm not sure what else to
There are
say.
so many twists and turns.
But I've already seen this a couple times. This is my third time watching it. And I picked up a couple things. But that being said, I'm pretty excited to see what the rest of the boys have to say. So I'm going to leave it open.
Far too many twists and turns for my liking.
It's a lot. I thought the twists and turns. I don't know that it came to like quite a solid end, but I liked the way that they unfolded the story. I mean, it's horrifying and fingers like they. God, yeah, it's hard to trace. That is a tall order, like giving a synopsis.
I have a great way to explain this movie. If you've ever been to Disneyland and gone on the Goofy roller coaster, it's like that. It's nonstop whiplash.
Wait, the character Goofy?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you meant like a goofy ride. Okay, yeah.
That was Goofy.
Yeah, there's a Goofy ride at Disneyland that's not related to the character.
I don't remember the full name. It's got his name in it though, so it's the Goofy
very goofy
ride. It's an
roller
old one, and it basically it just and you're constantly like your head is like getting whiplash the entire time, and I just remember that being the worst ride I've ever been on. I'm not saying this movie's bad, but it's like gonna nonstop give you like whiplash tonally in terms of direction, like everything, and sometimes it's just not that fun. But I still enjoyed the movie quite a bit, is what I'd say.
This movie's all over the place. I don't know about this movie. I've seen this once before, like a year or two ago. And I felt like I remember walking away from it, I felt like I don't know what the fuck just happened. That was a bunch of nonsense, and it was boring and confusing. And then rewatching it now with you guys, for like the first 2 hours, the first hour and a half, I was like, oh, this isn't hard to follow at all. Like, this is enjoyable, it's entertaining. There are a lot of great sequences I'll get to at some point, but the last, I don't know if it's the entire last act pretty much. First of all, it feels like the story more or less wraps up. Like there are some dangling threads here and there, but it's like things are mostly over, and you can tell the movie's not really over because things are wrapped up a little bit too cleanly, but then it just goes on with twist after twist and like they introduce this new character, the woman in white, who wasn't in the movie at all up until that point, and
she was tossing the stones at the beginning.
Oh, that was her?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
She was wearing a green cardigan.
Yeah, so it was the woman in Crusoe.
Yeah,
Right.
but she was the same chick.
I totally agree with you in that. In like the first time watching it, I have a hard time keeping up with movies sometimes, especially when these twists and turns happen. So like the first time around, I was so confused. But it is one of those things where watching it a second now, a third time, at least for me, it does make a lot of sense now, and it's a really messed up movie, or very depressing, I should say.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's like a kind of a tragedy almost, you know. And
So, this was my first time watching the movie, and yeah, it was difficult for me to completely follow, but first viewing, like, I mean, yes, I get it, like, oh yeah, you want to know what's going on, but like, for me, like, more, it's mostly just like the visual experience. So, my first note was the Wailing, not about whales. There's a noticeable dearth of whales, but my second thing was gorgeous cinematography. It's a very,
I have that.
very.
Somewhere here.
I thought I had the unique note. No, it's
Very
a
well
very,
done,
very beautifully shot movie with amazing wide shots. It's just so it's really like just like a visual feast. And yes, there's a lot to unwrap with this movie, like plot wise, but man, it's just a nice movie to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the cinematography, it was top notch. I feel like it's so, I don't know, it feels kind of rare to me to see a modern movie that looks this good. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but the production design, just, you know, all the sets, whatever. I don't know if they're like their town square or whatever it was, like the front yard where they have those ceremonies and all that stuff. Like, just some really interesting locations. The forest was beautiful. Like so many different shots of different parts of the forest.
Practical effects.
Oh my god, the makeup, incredible, phenomenal
really
makeup.
Creepy.
Scenes like lit by candlelight, it looked amazing. The makeup, yeah, I mean that was a whole. It was flawless, I'd say. The like boils on people and how fucked up everyone was. It looked incredible to me.
It was mostly practical effects, right? Because there were some
Yeah.
CGI shots, right?
Yeah,
It was
there's
like,
always going to be a little
of course,
bit.
but there really were. It was like minimal, right?
Crows.
The
moment,
crows.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
dog.
Stuck
There's a
out.
moment with the dog.
Yeah, when he
So,
lunged.
Yeah. But
Even
apart from
notice.
that, yeah, this movie, we talk about this. It's just practical effects. It always wins the day, like when done right.
It helps a lot.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that was so unsettling about it, because like the film, I don't know film like you guys do, but there was something that felt so real to me. It was like in the sense that like whatever filming techniques they were using, it could have been a documentary, you know,
Mhm.
like it just felt very real.
Well, for Koreans who hate Japanese people, it was a documentary.
Elaborate on that.
Tell us more. I do praise them also because maybe, and this was similar in referring to episode 1 and when we watched Hereditary. Ari Aster left the question open whether something paranormal was happening, like at least to the halfway point of the movie, and this one you could still. Like maybe an hour and a half in, maybe 90 minutes in, like it could just be some like there's nothing supernatural going on up to that point.
I totally agree
I
with
take
that.
it by shaking your head, you're agreeing with me, right?
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't agree with that? Well, what was supernatural that happened up to that point?
Nothing explicitly, but I think with the way a lot of the things were set up, like the guy with the zombie eyes sitting outside of his den, and the weird like meticulousness of in having to have dragged that body, something was really off about the whole situation, and I was like, this doesn't seem like someone who just got like crazed on mushrooms or something, committing a murder.
Which was a recurring question.
Yeah, there was-
it couldn't be the mushrooms.
There was something way off
I love
about
the
it in a
mushrooms.
way that I
Give me
don't
the
think someone could have deliberately planned. So in that sense, something else had to have caused the murders, and in that case it leaves either infection or occult. And in movie senses, I feel like the occult is just as likely as something viral, even though in real life I don't think either of those are as plausible.
But there was nothing concretely supernatural. Like, he had boils. Like, boils
Yeah.
are real. That's a real thing, you know?
Yeah, but
It's unexplained.
Yeah, people were getting boils really quickly though, and like the behavior was just. I would say it is possible, but when you're watching a movie, I think it's fair to be able to get like a sense, I guess, of like where you think it's gonna go. And my gut instinct was like, oh yeah, I don't think this is.
I mean,
Well, that's meta.
I'm with Val on
It's
that.
like-
Yeah.
Isn't that meta? That's a meta
Yeah,
comment.
it kind of is, but it's like not like I
I feel
the
you.
first time I watched
Obviously, I
this
agree.
movie, I wasn't positive, obviously, that it was going to be supernatural, but I felt like if they're going to try to explain this away, like logically,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be bad.
That's true.
And that's not what they did.
But
Obviously, it was
despite-
supernatural,
Right.
but
But that's you're thinking meta though.
Despite
Just like
having that supernatural element to it, like I just appreciate movies that anything within that's made within the last 10 to 15 years that isn't so ironic. Now,
Yeah.
granted, because it's a Korean movie, that it may not be, confined to that limitation that seems to this self-imposed limitation in a lot of American movies now, where everything has to be self-referential, everything has to be ironic. We're in on the joke.
Yeah,
We're
it's
parodying
exhausting.
ourselves. It is exhausting. It was cute for a while, and I think it's kind of beyond overplayed. And I appreciate that this movie, like, while yes, there's absurd lengths to it, throughout the movie, it takes itself seriously. There's this solemn nature to it. It is like plays like a documentary, and so it does suck you up. While there's a part of me that wants to make the joke, it's like, oh shit, this is intense.
and there are jokes
yeah.
in the movie, deliberate jokes, but they're not like self-aware nudge nudge. Aren't we above this kind of jokes?
Yeah.
But the jokes are like a release valve. They're
Mhm.
a cathartic release, not just
It's necessary levity to keep
Yeah.
the audience moving forward, because sometimes things just get too morose.
Yeah, you
And
really miss
depressing.
that levity towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just real quick for the audience that hasn't seen the movie, like I mentioned a little earlier, the synopsis. One of the main events that ends up happening is he finds out that his daughter is cursed. And he's a goofy cop, but you can tell it once he finds out like his daughter is actually in danger. He like puts his like game face on, which was funny to see. Also,
Yeah,
like
that was
seeing this
awesome. I was
goofy
rooting
guy
for
actually
him,
like
hell yeah.
fucking trying to make a difference. Anyway, so his mother-in-law sees her granddaughter is sick, so she recommends a shaman, and they hire the shaman because his daughter is getting like visibly sick. Her behavior is also changing, very reminiscent of The Exorcist. Like the daughter is cursing and acting
Just
differently,
haven't seen.
eating fish
Raw
and
fish,
like raw
yeah.
fish. So he hires the shaman, and then there's also a lady in white that appears not very often throughout the movie, and she is basically saying that your daughter is cursed, and it is because of the strange Japanese man and the shaman that just arrived into town, while the Japanese man and the shaman are saying, no, it is the woman in white that is the one cursing your daughter.
I thought the good shaman was wrong to say the Japanese man was also a good shaman, because didn't he turn out to literally be the devil?
Yes.
whoa, spoiler.
Wait, they
alert.
were
They were in cahoots.
They're in cahoots, yeah.
The two shamans?
The Japanese man
He was the one
And
taking the pictures.
and the
Right.
business suit shaman.
The rainbow dancing shaman?
Correct.
So he was a bad guy too?
Correct.
So the woman in white was the good guy.
Yes.
That's annoying.
and I will
and
say,
also,
So hold on, let me just finish. And
yeah.
For the audience that hasn't seen, and it gets very tense because first time you're watching this, there's clues leading. Maybe it is her, maybe it is them, and like it all depends on this ritual whether it finishes or not. And his daughter is screaming in agony to please stop, so he stops. And the way the movie ends is very tragic and sad because the lady in white told them, if you go see your daughter now, she will be lost, and so will your family. And he does it, and it ends with him showing up at the house, his wife and mother-in-law being killed by the daughter, which we don't see on screen, but they're dead. And then it cuts again, and then he dies while the business shaman shows up to take pictures and drive away.
Yeah, so that leaves a question. Like, if they were in cahoots, the rainbow dancing shaman who took the pictures, he was doing a whole ritual to kill the Japanese man, and it appeared by all senses to be working. What was that about?
No, I think they were working together. We didn't know that. It looked like they were performing rituals against each other. But I guess I'm just realizing, I guess they were working together to do like a dual ritual together in that scene.
To accomplish what?
To make the possession of the daughter take hold or whatever.
No, but it's,
like
it's a fair question, because maybe not in the moment, but in retrospect, Alex, I had that same question. It was sort of like, it did seem like, to not so much to what end, but it's just like, aren't you at cross purposes here? Like, what are you doing? You guys are in league with each other.
So that's what I enjoyed about this movie, and I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off. It does look like it is two competing things happening.
That's intentional.
Yeah.
Yes, but it was intentional to throw us off.
It was
and I think
Okay.
that's what this director does really well, throwing us off in ambiguity. Like in the beginning, and this was one of my notes.
That's kind of cool. Okay.
When did the dream start, and when does the actual story start? Because there's scenes in the very beginning of the movie, and then it leads to a different scene, and then it leads to him talking to his friend. It's like pretty crazy story, huh?
But then that scene was also a dream.
But it did happen. But then he, like 5 minutes later, he wakes up from like a screaming dream of the Japanese guy getting to him. So it's like, did that happen? Or when did the dream actually start?
As we're parsing out the plot, which, because there's so much, I just want to, one more time, like, just pay my respects to the quality of the filmmaking. Because, like, just like this, like, that dueling banjo scene between the what seemed like the opposing shamans.
That's my favorite.
That's the best scene in the movie.
It's phenomenal. It's completely absorbing, even though there was a part of me that was just like, does this guy just like to dance? And
I didn't care what was happening in that scene.
Yeah,
it was just his dancing was so awesome when he spits blood on the swords
so
or whatever.
Convincing.
Oh my god!
Like, this guy's definitely casting a spell.
I just adding to just what you guys are saying about, like, yes, it's confusing, like who's but there are some people, I guess, somehow, whatever, they can like immediately identify, oh, that's the bad guy, or that's the. I'm not one of those people.
Oh, neither.
Like, I just, so I get fooled pretty easily, but I do think this movie did a pretty good job of you're never quite sure who's who, and when you think you know, then boom. So there's a pretty good, like, that's not easy to do, like, to have you like the whole way to the end, like, not quite sure who's who.
Till the very end. Until you see the dead bodies. Then it's like, well, it's too late.
and
I didn't care at that point. I was so confused that I didn't care.
It's very, dare I say, convoluted, but I don't think it cheats. It's just like, I'm not really sure. I only saw it the one time, so I want to go back and see like if it's cheating a little bit or if it's just really cool.
Well,
I don't think it's cheating.
I think it's. I mean, maybe it's at least partially a philosophical thing. Like philosophical. Sorry, I know. I'm philosophical, but maybe like
how long did it take for you to go to philosophy?
No, well, I'm just saying, like, maybe it's a cultural thing. Like, maybe, and I'm trying. Na Hong Jin wanted to purposefully like loop the audience into the mystery in that way, because he did very purposefully throw us off the trail. Like, that's clear.
Yes.
I mean, it looks like the Rainbow Shaman is killing the devil.
Yeah.
When in reality, like you guys are saying, like, no, they were conducting this ritual together. Like, they were doing that together. And that's interesting. I think that's really interesting, actually. Because, like, you don't... Like, in America, they spoon-feed you everything. In like, Hollywood, they're like, this is what's
Classic
going on now.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they use chopsticks.
we all know about the Harrison overdub for Blade Runner, the American release.
Blade Runner fans know this, but still, it is just worth mentioning. It is very funny when you listen to it. I'm sure we all in this room know it, but it's so funny listening to the narrated version, the original theatrical version of Blade Runner, because you just listen to Harrison Ford. He hates it.
Yeah.
He's already a grumpy dude.
Kind of ruins the movie.
It's so funny. It's so funny how intentionally poorly he's reading his lines. He's just like, oh yeah, they called him a blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's just...
I'd quit because I'd had a belly full of killing. But then I'd rather be a killer than a victim. I didn't know whether Leon gave Holden a legit address. But it was the only lead I had, so I checked it out. Tyrell had told me Rachel was special. No termination date. I didn't know how long we'd have together. Who does?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, just culturally, I think maybe we're just not used to that, you know what I mean? Like, which I appreciate.
And some of us are stupid.
Yeah, but only after watching it like a couple times before. It's like, yes, it is very ambiguous, but there are also some like obvious signs. It's like a shaman that wears a business suit and charges $10,000 is like, it's pretty fucked up to do that.
Yeah.
If your daughter is,
Did you think $10,000 was too steep? I thought they were getting a deal. He's like,
He should do that for the love of his craft.
We don't know what kind of currency we're working with here.
First
To
off,
be fair.
10,000 Korean bucks could be 25 American.
Look at how big his staff was.
But-
What was the
but-
budget?
but
on
listen,
that? Like,
You're right, maybe it all went to supplies.
You got a live band.
he's driving around in a
Those
nice
giant
car.
cuts of meat.
He drives around in a nice car and has a business suit. It's like,
Yeah.
there's no shaman that would like.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's like one of those televangelists.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
have you ever seen Televangelist?
You call a business
A
suit-
sham.
A shaman.
A shaman,
Yes,
yeah.
wait, yeah. As the self-proclaimed fashionista of the group, I mean, his clothes were nice, but very doable and not that expensive.
Yeah, you could get those at a thrift shop. Was anyone else with me that all the shots of him driving looked like a car commercial?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I had no idea that a shaman could be like so like cool and kind of like just
Sexy.
kind of suave and sexy.
Yeah.
I always just figured like a shaman is just like some grotesque troll-like creature.
Were
who's
you
A
like,
little far, but
Were you paying attention on January 6, 2021?
changed my whole perspective on shamans.
some of us were paying attention, and some of us were participating.
Yeah, some of us were a little busy that day.
Anyways, I think there's some pretty clear signs that he was not on the good side, and also the Japanese guy and him, the scenes of him molesting a woman, the scene.
Did that happen though?
But it seems like in all the dream scenes, he was doing something not good.
Yeah, but
My
they were
vocabulary.
dream scenes, and I felt confused. I mean, in the end, he's very obviously evil because he literally becomes the devil, the Japanese
the
man.
devil.
What do you think?
Taking
At that
pictures
point,
and
when
capturing their souls.
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So creepy.
Why didn't the priest leave at the end?
I think he was fucked either way.
He was terrified.
Yeah.
Hey, question. I know, like
Me
with
too.
the
Stunned.
dreams, with the dreams, like all those dream sequences. Are we saying that
I think it's
it's
all
just
symbolism.
a dream, or it was a dream and it also happened? Like he was in that.
I think it's all symbolism or reference to the past. So the ghost woman, I think, was the woman when he was fishing. They turned around when you filthy whore, and then basically had his way with her. Cut away. Was probably the ghost spirit woman's past. What happened to her in the past,
Oh.
and that's probably why she was working against the devil. Besides the obvious that he's the devil, and that the other scenes where it's getting the main character, what is his name again?
John Goo.
The wait.
John.
What's the English translation?
It's the devil It's the devil literally coming to get him. It's about to take him, and it's also like foreboding. For instance, he has a black dog, which in a lot of cultures is a bad omen.
Oh, yeah. I bet it was.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't appreciate
besides
that.
all the satanic like imagery in his little shrine, and all the like decrepitness in the vines and stuff inside the room, that's all Shintoism. Like stagnation leads to decay and gross, like it's just a place that doesn't symbolize like purity and like goodness. What threw me off, I think, was when he went to the waterfall. That's something in Asian cultures you do is a running water, moving water is a purifying agent. So the fact that he was under there had me convinced that he was trying to rid himself of an evil spirit. But I turned out to be wrong.
But I think you are correct in that, because there's a moment when he gets his gang to go like, let's go kick his ass.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes too.
Yeah, so they go there.
Oh, did I kill the man but not the devil inside him?
Yeah,
Oh.
so I think the devil knew he was about to get killed, so he's like, I'm going to bounce for a little bit. And the guy wakes up, he's like, what is going on? And he's being chased by these people. He just fucking runs.
Okay.
Because he looks terrified.
Mhm.
And that's the only time you see, like, non-scary emotion.
So,
which, what a fucking good actor, because he was
he's
able
great.
to turn that on and off.
Oh, it was so convincing. That was the part of me that goes, oh, wait, so he's not a bad guy after all. But a question, okay, so then was that like where the devil is possessing this body, and then the devil just straight up, now it's just entirely mine? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like the guy he comes to, and then he's
I
killed,
honestly
and then the
don't
devil
know. I
reassumes
think
the body
he
as-
left for a little bit, waited for shit to get to cool down, and then popped back in there.
Yeah.
The devil's
I
on
thought
vacation. Yeah. I just want to like go back to something you were saying, Edgar, about like, because I thought it was so brilliant what this movie does, where it sets up the main character as this bumbling
Yeah, that was
fool,
one of my notes.
this total loser. And on one hand, it's like it's really funny, so we're just enjoying it, how funny it is. But it sets it up so well because it's like you see his vulnerabilities, and you're rooting for him that much more, and you're hoping, but you know how vulnerable he is. And then when the way that it plays, like increasingly, how desperate he is to save his daughter, and then in his delusions, like towards the very end. It's really, really smart how it sets him up as this loser.
Dude, the first 5 minutes...
But then something savage turns on.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes, he gets a phone call about a murder, and as he's about to leave, his mother-in-law's like, you have to eat before you leave. He's like, no, I can't. It's like, someone just died. He's like, go and eat. And the next scene is him eating. And then he goes to drop his daughter off. It's like, you know there's a dead body.
Yeah.
Your job is to go figure it out. You should have been there 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
But he's taking his sweet time, and he comes up with excuses every time. He keeps blaming everyone
His boss
else.
reprimands him later.
They rag on him so bad.
That was a great running joke in the movie. Like before it got completely intense, like that little running joke of like, okay, I'm not falling for that. Now you're using this excuse. Now you're using that excuse. Quit blaming your mother-in-law. Quit blaming your daughter. That was great.
He's got his pal washing his car.
Yeah. The emasculating gloves.
His daughter has to bring him clothes because
He's such
he
a
got
loser.
too
It's
scared
great,
when
yeah.
that zombie was attacking him.
Yeah.
Or was it a zombie?
I
We
mean,
don't
it's
know.
not a zombie in the tradition, but it, pretty
But
much
then
was.
by showing that, it shows his courage. That we know he's fear-ridden. We know he's pitiful. But
Yeah.
that's the hero. The real hero is
is.
the one who,
Totally. It is worth noting, I think, that switch happened when he found the shoe, his daughter's shoe.
Mhm.
Then he started kicking in doors. He was like, I'm not
Yeah.
fucking around anymore.
Yeah.
That's literally the first time that
He
he
goes
actually
John
made
Wick
like,
mode.
direct
Yeah.
aggression and like kicked in the door. He's like, I don't fucking care. I'm kicking in the door.
I think the movie actually speaks against that. That his cowardice, which is one of the main problems in his character, his inability to be stalwart and decisive. He instantly starts coming to fearful conclusions and acting on them in violent, unnecessary ways, when there were more thorough, calm, competent ways to go about figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
He was too frantic. He was ruled by his fear, his doubt. He's a man shaking the entire one, doubtful, unable to actually come to a decisive conclusion and really stick with it. And that is actually why he fails in the end.
I don't know.
He seemed very relatable.
I think that's really hard
I
on
would
the
say,
guy.
no, Val, that's a very valid point about his character undermining his every action and all his good intents. But he was going against the devil. The devil's pretty competent foe. So
He's good at tricking people, from what I hear. But I didn't. The whole end moment where he was on the phone with the shaman and he was talking to the woman in white, and they were basically just saying, "No, he's evil," and he was like, "No, she's evil. No, he's evil. No, she's evil."
Yeah, it's like you got nothing to go on.
He has zero factual information to the point, and that scene goes on and on and on, and he doesn't know anything. And I'm just like, just flip a coin. It's like, I just make a decision. You don't know it. You're not going to get any information.
Have you guys played Clue?
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's a children's board game, but I still suck at it. But I suck at it. It's like I never win, but I always try. And it's like there's that terrible moment where it's like, well, I'm just gonna go for it and save the card. Let's give this guy some credit. He was making.
It's not his fault. But as a scene in a movie, when the character has no information to make his decision, I know he's just going to end up making a random decision, basically, because I know he doesn't have any information, so just get on with it.
Something I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if you guys would think, I think we all must have been thinking this at some point, and maybe even mentioned while watching the movie, but it's like, do cops in Korea, or at least in this unit, they just don't have weapons?
They don't have anything. They don't have pepper spray or an air horn, a taser. They have nothing to protect themselves. When an insane man starts charging at them, they have nothing to do but run away.
It was the first time in my life where I ever actually kind of felt bad for the cops. It's just too bad they don't have a way of defending themselves.
When that woman was throwing rocks at him, I'm like, man, if only you could just shoot her right now.
Yeah.
About that, the woman in giving hints, good old Bible thingy, let he or she who is without sin cast the first stone.
Good one.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yes. I did not pick that up. I found that online.
You should have just pretended.
I can't take credit.
That's sick.
But again,
Well
I didn't
done.
fucking pick up on that,
See, the Bible is cool.
It's a really religious movie. The Bible verse in the beginning,
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
That moved so fast we couldn't read it at all.
There was a moment where it was like I wanted to make a joke about it, but then it actually started to feel real. Where it was like there was the traditional, whether it was Shintoism or shamanism, like the traditional way of going up against these evil forces, and then it was like, all right, it's time for JC to come in and do his thing. It's time for the Christian,
the right one,
the Christian weaponry, and it totally towards the end, it started to feel like this is some Christian propaganda happening here.
There is a strong Christian presence in South Korea.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Oh, and also there's a strong anti-Japanese sentiment. This movie. Are we gonna finally address the elephant in the room, which is this movie is very much just leaning into that that feud,
xenophobia,
that feud between Japan and Korea.
It is a little. Our American sensibilities are being triggered by this. Why is he a Japanese man?
Well,
something we don't know about.
Why
What's
in the
going on?
script they made him a Japanese man?
So being the Japan Korean scholar that I am, it's well established that Japan, historically, was the bully, the tyrant towards its neighboring countries, and Korea was no exception. And that bitterness, that feud, stays to this day. It's enduring. And obviously it's not a coincidence that the devil, the main villain in the movie, is a Japanese guy that they keep referring to as a Jap bastard.
Yeah. Which I don't know.
They started calling him a Jap bastard.
What are the
after they found out about his cult things in his closet, the pictures of the shooter.
They were like, devil worship is one thing.
Yeah.
They didn't start off with Jap.
In fairness, it was a Japanese man, then a Jap, then a Jap bastard. So there was a natural progression,
and then the devil.
And then the devil.
Natural progression.
Yeah.
But the
Val's trying to interject.
whole point of
Yeah.
the movie was not to listen to rumors and let them rule, because he was innocent. Yeah,
No,
he was
the
possessed by
devil.
the. He was possessed by the
I
devil.
thought he was the
but
devil.
there was an innocent
Wait, he
man
was?
in him.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
that
what
guy-
the shaman
that
said.
guy died.
But yeah, he said he may have been
Because he
human
got
once,
murdered.
Oh,
So the people who murdered him all suffered and died. I mean, it was,
the devil got him.
yeah, it was all speaking to don't let doubts and rumors rule your heart. You know, even a Japanese person, they can be
Even a
innocent. You know?
Even Japanese people
But-
can be trusted sometimes.
yeah,
He
there
literally
was like
ended up being
5
the
minutes
devil.
in the movie where I felt like, oh, okay, like it's redeemed this whole seemingly anti-Japanese sentiment. Where it's like, it turns out we shouldn't have. Our suspicions about this Japanese man. Were
I did not get that any anti-Japanese at all.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
it would happen to be a character.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because of a past they had, but I don't know. I personally
it's-
did.
I mean, here are the facts.
It's a
Here are the
real
facts.
thing. It's a
The
real
devil
thing.
comes to South Korea in a Japanese movie.
Yeah.
Look,
Correct.
look,
That's
just-
way to sow seeds
I-
of doubt.
I don't know if my friend is going to
But
watch
yeah, it
this,
would
but
help.
if you are,
Yeah, it'd be like going to the Ku Klux Klan as the devil disguised as a black man. Be like, I'm the evil person here.
Oh my
Yeah, but
God.
then if it turned out to be true,
They'd love to jump on that.
yeah.
Well, here's
was-
the thing,
he was-
like,
He was thinking he would be protected by social mores.
I always,
He was playing on our weaknesses.
I always
The
say
Japanese
that-
man, he was like playing the race cars.
Yeah,
the
someone
devil was playing the
someone
race car.
suspected him to be the devil. It's like Twitter's
Well,
going to hear about this. You
I always-
fucking
I
He's a
always-
racist.
I would say like our great country, like when it comes
Here
to
we
when,
go.
like here it comes. Whenever like when people like point to like all the various wrongs and injustices of this country, I always say like America is just a remix. It didn't start just the remix. It didn't start all that other junk like and habits. But here's the point. I have one of my good friends. He's Japanese American. He's Japanese, and his wife is Korean. And oh boy, did they run into problems. Like
Yeah.
Really?
boy, oh boy.
Oh,
He-
man.
he lives with his wife
Japanese
in
films are
South Korea now, but yeah, that stuff is real. It's
For
real.
Japan
Yeah.
and Korea would be
Anyways,
friends.
somebody
'cause, like,
break this up
China's
with
the
humor.
worst,
Yeah, well, I'm
All
sure
right.
I'm sure they're officially.
But love
But-
overcomes all. All right.
We shouldn't overstep our bounds talking about the
Yeah.
relationship between South Korea and
That's true.
Japan, but there's clearly something going on. I think we
Yeah.
can settle it there.
Yeah.
Unless
I like
anyone else
the,
has something to say.
I love occult stuff, and just like the witchy
Yeah.
aesthetic is something I just die for.
God, that
like,
was well done.
and it was so well done in this
Oh,
movie.
man.
Just like weird like pentagrams and blood and crows hanging from the ceiling and twig art, weird shit. I fucking
There was a goat's
love
head
that shit.
in his little
yeah,
closet
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
in the
man,
back with some candles
leaving,
on it.
leaving the disemboweled goat
Yeah.
on their door. Oh, that's horror.
Yeah, pretty
That's
gross
horror.
looking.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh, I gotta say, I didn't find this movie that scary.
Really?
Yeah.
I would agree.
It
with
was
that.
the realism that got to me. Like seeing the guy die on the hospital gurney. That actor, man, wow. My hat's off to that guy.
I don't know
Like,
if
he
it was-
sold the shit out of
I
that.
don't know if it was scary, but at the very end, when it was like the woman kept telling him, "Don't leave," and then like wait for the third rooster crow,
Mm.
that was pretty intense.
That was, yeah. It was a
I-
great scene. Oh,
No?
I'm waiting
Seems-
for that third rooster. Let's go. I love roosters.
Oh, real quick about that ending when the shaman started throwing up like blood and just
That
regular
was fucking
vomit.
cool.
That looked so good. I feel like in most movies, when you see someone throw up, it's just like the actor puts some fake vomit in their mouth and then it's just they spit it out and it's just a little bit.
No, it
This
was
is just spewing.
It was
and
intense.
looked, I don't know how they did it because it didn't. I mean, it was probably CGI. It looked great.
And the
I
blood
don't-
going through his
I
nose
think
Yes.
it was real.
Yeah.
bleeding.
I think it was like an
Some
actual
kind of
prop.
contraption.
Because I think I saw like the trajectory
Oh,
of the
okay,
way it was
uh-huh.
coming out. Yeah, but no, I mean I agree. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
It was very, very well
All
done.
of the animal sacrifice was so convincing.
Yeah,
It made me
I was
wonder,
wondering
like,
about that.
So
They don't have PETA in South Korea.
Those chickens that were hanging upside down did look like real chickens.
Yeah.
I mean, during like the crazy dueling banjo shaman scene and like the rainbow dancing, like that looked real to me.
Yes.
It looked
Yeah.
real, but it did look kind of evil. What
Yeah.
peaceful ritual
Yeah.
involves two huge swords and like dipping your head in blood
Yeah.
and spitting blood onto the sword?
A
Yeah.
badass one.
Like,
Yeah, that was freaking
it
amazing.
did look pretty badass.
his
Oh wow, it's sure is
rainbow.
bright in here.
That scene was just I want to go back to that because I don't have anything new to say. I just want to highlight it again.
I got
that scene was
one.
awesome. Yeah.
It was well done.
The fishing analogies, like the very
Sure.
first scene was him
Yeah.
trying to get the hook onto the worm.
Right.
You know,
That was-
setting up the bait.
Trying to
That was
find his
horrifying
bait,
too.
Correct.
trying to get the bait on. Oh, I see.
I can.
And then they
miss that.
they address it directly at the end. Where
Yeah,
he's like,
I
when you go
missed
fishing,
that hook.
you
line
don't
on
know
what
what
Caesar.
you're
you're
gonna
catch.
get.
He's going fishing, and he was literally going fishing, or that was a dream.
That wasn't
Whatever.
that wasn't the end though. That was only like
Mandy.
2 hours in.
Whatever.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I thought that it was coming to a conclusion at that time too, but it
Yes.
was not.
So it's such a beautifully shot movie. We were talking about. I don't know if I could pick a favorite shot, but speaking of fishing, like that shot, which I'm talking about the golden hour. That's your thing, but by the lake, that was
Yeah.
so pretty.
This movie looks phenomenal. Like it can't be understated. I think it looks incredible. Like,
Is this a moment where I can say my little Citizen Kane thing, or
no,
all right?
No,
Go ahead
ahead.
and say the Citizen Kane thing.
Because I really appreciated like how well done this movie is, and I'm sure there were tons of like little various like homages that this. What's the name of the director?
Na Hung.
Nahong
Na
Jin.
Hong Jin.
All right, so yeah, so that Na Hong, so that he was
We know our stuff.
We're trying.
like various techniques and shots that he was using. Like there were both originals and tributes. But there was one shot in particular in the movie. It was just that's awesome. Where the main character, I can't say any of these names. So the
Jong
main character, John.
Can you just call him John?
John? Okay, so John, he's at one of the. It's like perpetually raining, which is very film noir, by
That was
the
cool.
way.
Yeah.
Very film noir. So he's walking along the crime scene, and there's this very low angle shot, like practically like beneath ground shot, like looking up, and that's the Citizen Kane shot, the extreme low angle level shot of the character walking by, and it creates this sense of like either like superiority or something like very like
It's
kind
when
of
he's
like-
pissed and like he's trying to. He's like
yeah.
he
But that
switched
shot,
gears.
Yeah,
You know?
and a lot of like directors use that shot, but that shot in particular was just very beautiful and immediately stood out. The set they had to tear up the ground to get that shot, and there was all these things in Citizen Kane where it's like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Why are you doing this?" And
He's like, I'm trying to make Citizen Kane here.
Yeah. I'm making Citizen Kane, people. I'm making the greatest movie ever, people. But yeah.
So they minted that shot?
Hmm?
Did they actually, like, were they the first?
Yeah, shots
Was it the
actually
first
pretty
time
much
that
didn't
shot-
exist before that movie. No, but seriously.
No, but for real. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a 1940s movie, isn't it?
Yeah, 1941. But the thing is like a lot of like film, scholars will say that
Like us.
though
Yes.
the techniques of Citizen,
Exactly.
the techniques of Citizen Kane were not necessarily like wholly original. There's like a lot of it was being taken from some of the more innovative techniques from French cinema.
Oh, I see.
Cinema verite, but nevertheless, like Citizen Kane is there's a reason why people keep coming back to it. It's really great.
Yeah,
I
let's
wish we could
talk
do an
about
episode
Citizen
about it.
Kane.
Yeah, here's our Citizen Kane
Alright.
episode. I find it to just be
Yeah.
a really enjoyable watch. It's
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, Citizen Kane. I haven't seen it in a couple years, but
Have you seen it, though?
Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I need to see it.
it's,
Never heard of it.
I mean, yeah, right.
All right, let's see here.
Let's talk about some more imagery, like the front door to the house being a big gate, which in a lot of Shintoist culture is a gateway to the spiritual.
Where the trap
That's
is
the
set.
cover of the Blu-ray.
Yeah, in this case,
Wait, what?
it's an open
Oh, I
door.
thought oh yeah, you're right.
In this case, it's an open door, welcoming and potentially welcoming doubt, rumor, and the devil. Is what I took it for here. So that was really cool to see throughout the movie as it got more and more kind of decrepit and the imagery around it got more disturbed. Like the little daughter standing at the front of it and like just fucking covered in blood and grime and shit.
Looking very creepy.
Yeah, it was fucking cool.
Do you guys think that crow soy sauce would have been good?
Yes.
Oh, man.
If
I
you
really
ferment
thought
it a
it just
little
didn't
bit
like
longer.
soy
Yeah.
sauce, but
Yeah, so a lot of it was.
He probably planted that thing. That just occurred to me. He's like,
Oh yeah. He was like,
Looking
"Hey, I'm
for
just
it,
gonna
right?
have
Like,
to
he really
that
sold it. He
bag
sold the
of soy
shit out of
No,
it.
so that's the thing. It was a lot of the lady in white and this shaman and that Japanese guy planting traps and sabotaging each other's traps. Like, what do they call it? Like the by the entrance, that little.
It's spider.
It looked like mistletoe. It's not mistletoe.
Kiss under the.
It was like
It was just that herb. It kind of looked like skulls. I thought in a lot of
Skulls
shots.
and
Which
some
he
herb.
actually did notice at the very first scene.
Yeah, in the murder
First
house,
murder
the
scene,
first crime
yeah.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was the lady in white, like, attempting to, like, protect.
She needed to step it up. She was hopelessly outmatched by the other two. Like, they were really going at it, and she was like, I don't know, I'll try to put this mistletoe here. Maybe he'll figure that out. Those other two
Well,
guys
no,
were-
it would have worked, but she had to get him to, like, agree to, like, hey, for this to work, you have to trust me. And that's where that thing lies in, where how do you trust someone you don't know at all?
I mean,
Like,
she's
you have
going to
that
stand
was
there and throw
information.
rocks at him for 3 hours and hope
But
that...
that was ominous. I know if I was in that situation.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
It's
You're-
like,
I did want to say for that scene, that like we discussed earlier, there's no information for Jong-gu to go on to either way. But I really like looking back on it. I was affected by her line, and I really think she sold it. Like it triggered an emotion in me when she said, he was like, "Who are you? Like why should I trust you? Who are you?" He asks her very directly, and she like comes out of the shadow.
and she looks like a ghost.
She looks like a ghost, but she says, "Someone who's trying to save your daughter."
A woman.
And
who's
the
trying to
way
save
a
her
woman who's trying to save
Yeah.
your daughter, and the way she said it, I was like,
Oh,
trust
shit.
her, trust her. Like that was my like gut instinct. I mean, I still mentally was just like confused, but
question for you though, because like that totally makes sense. But for me, it was the other way around, where it was like one of the famous. There's a million titles that's given to the devil, and one of them is the father of lies or the king of
Right.
lies.
Yeah.
So it's like, in what better way to like deceive you than like this like sweet like woman that wants to save this little girl.
yeah, no,
So
and
like, for me, I
intellectually,
was
I
like, you
agree.
can't trust that.
But she got to my heart. Is what
I
I'm
see.
saying. Like that line got in here.
The devil's known to get to people's hearts.
Right. Well, my heart is pure, Michael.
All right. The pure part. No. It's yeah.
I should have
Yeah.
been listening to my heart, not my head.
Yeah. There you go. You're a philosopher. You can't help it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I was profoundly confused. But I did. She definitely. So just like speaking from an acting standpoint, like a meta standpoint,
And
the
that
actress really sold it.
All the actors were
All the
excellent.
actors.
They were. The acting was
The guy
fantastic.
who plays the devil, though,
The
man,
kid,
that was
the girl.
Mhm.
Goddamn, sorry.
That was fucking great because like there was that part at the end when he was just like, "Well, you've already made up your mind about me. It doesn't matter what I
Oh,
say."
yeah.
And that was just like, whoa.
Yeah, the first time I saw this, I was
Motherfucker.
fucking terrified during that scene
It's
where he's
scary.
like confronting him. He goes in there with a scythe, and then he starts laughing when he says, "I'll leave you alone." He says, "You're gonna leave me alone."
Yeah. And then when even though
He starts taking the pictures.
it's a little bit campy when it's like the close up of but it's still like, oh man, taking the pictures of him. That
Yeah.
was just like there was almost like this dirty, like you feel like
It was sadistic.
it's
It was
dirty.
sadism.
Yeah, totally.
During that
It was,
scene,
He put
though,
the S in.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was some BDSM on BDSM right there.
I just think during that scene I was so anxious for the movie to end, and he kept taking the picture so slowly. I was like, man, just fucking roll the film and take the picture. Really, like, come on.
He was feeding on your suffering.
Oh, that's meta.
You know what? It's all coming together. It's all coming together now. I now know why you hated Beau Was Afraid and why you just don't like 3-hour movies.
Correct.
That's all.
That's something I realized recently after watching John Carpenter's Elvis. Yeah, I just don't like 3-hour movies,
Yeah.
and there are a handful of exceptions to that.
Yeah.
But yes, I do not
Have
like.
you seen Lawrence of Arabia?
My dad made me watch it when I was like 8, and I hated it.
Okay.
So I'm traumatized by it.
Because it's like almost 5 hours.
When we saw Beau, you weren't there when we saw Beau Was Afraid, but that movie ruined my life. And I said afterwards that I haven't wanted a movie to end so bad since I was 8 and my dad made me watch Lawrence of Arabia. But not because I hated Beau as a friend. Well, I did hate it, but it ruined my life. I thought it was a great movie.
To quote Indy, it's the best movie he's ever hated.
The best movie I've ever hated. That's right.
You wouldn't even rate it like in the I'm gonna get it right this time. In the VHS, I didn't get it right. VHS tapes, but you could give it a high rating for the reels.
I'd give it at least a 4 for film reels.
Yeah.
If we're allowed to give zeros on VHS tapes, I'd give that.
Maybe that could be a new category of how much this movie depressed me.
Maximum.
There was like this one shot where I'm just like, Gollum, is that you? It was very Gollum-ish, like with one of those like first shots of we didn't know it was the devil, but the Japanese man when he's like lurching over the rock.
Oh, that was pretty scary.
Yeah, it was but he just looked like Gollum to me. It was funny.
It was like eating the thing and then you like turn
Yeah.
the dude.
Yeah, good. So, as for the paranormal point, his eyes were red. Although they did say that those were dreams, or they like intimated that they were dreams. But his eyes were red. That's
but then
definitely
the
paranormal.
lady said those weren't dreams.
She did, but later on.
Yeah,
Right, but then what happened then?
Could you believe her too?
Yeah, why didn't he just kill him then?
Did
Or
you
did
guys,
he feeding on
It was part of the suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when they kept making the distinction or trying to make the distinction between ghosts and people and like flesh and bone,
Yeah.
did you have clarity on that the whole way through? I'm like, I don't think I really get it.
That was the
with
Luke
this.
line.
So
The Luke
there's
3:16 line at the
Yeah.
beginning that they quoted. Like,
You were able to
behold-
read that?
It's a famous
Hey,
passage
what
from
is
the
it?
Bible.
any chance to shout out the Bible, I'm in. Okay.
It's when it's like Jesus talking when he comes back from the dead, and they're like no, seriously, they're like, you're a ghost, and he's like, but I have flesh and blood. I'm not a ghost. Clearly, I'm not a ghost. I have flesh and blood, which is literally what the devil says
Says at the
later on.
very end, he's like, "You don't believe me? Look, I have flesh and blood
Yeah.
too."
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I didn't know you guys
Yeah.
missed that. That's important.
I missed
There was
it.
That's a very crucial element.
That's pretty important.
There was also a hole in his hand.
It's like
if
you missed the whole
noticed.
point of the movie.
Oh yes,
There was a
there
hole in his
was.
hand.
Is that a Jesus thing?
He had
the
a
cross.
stigmata. He had a stigmata mark.
Technically, the stigmata would
Why
be
did
in
he
the.
have that?
I mean,
How do
I think it's
fucking-
like that general area.
I know.
Anything above
Maybe I
the
shouldn't.
elbow.
I just realized I shouldn't ask the Bible questions to Edgar.
I don't know.
So guys, we've had 3 Jesus movies in a row. First it was Is Chance Jesus, and then is Bomb 20 Jesus, and now
Bomb 20 is my savior.
actually
Let there
Bomb
be
20
light.
is just pure God consciousness.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
So we got all great acting all the way around. Were there
Really
any, were there
very,
any
very
weak
good.
performances? It was a pretty all the way around. Like
yeah. No, it was solid.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
most
solid. They
good
sold the
movies
shit
have
out
a
of
bad
it.
performance here and there, but it felt like
The
Very
daughter
solid.
was good.
Daughter
His,
was great,
his
yeah.
friends at the deli or whatever, pretty
Yeah.
funny too. He's like such a shitty cop.
Yeah, I
He's
know.
like doesn't do shit most of the time, and then as soon as he finds out anything, he goes to the deli for a free sandwich. Like, yeah, a couple murders, killed everyone. Really, he's like, do you have any
yeah.
more
I
of
mean,
this?
he really is throughout. He's consistent, even as yes, he may be doing it with extreme ineptitude, but still, he's trying. He's fighting. He's not giving up. But all the while, he's a doofus. I mean,
Oh, he can't hide that.
yeah, you can't.
He's being
Yeah.
attacked by that woman in front of the rest of the cops, and he is screaming like a little girl the whole time. And
Yeah, but
trying
they're
to
like
run
8
away.
dudes
Oh,
surrounding her,
dude,
just watching.
yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't even.
They got
He's
the other
like,
two
hey,
zombies.
try to.
So-
You do it.
I'm hoping that will show at least some of the clip of the super zombie. Like,
I want to talk about that scene. You
Yeah.
said, I mentioned it earlier, you said it was terrifying. I thought that was the most comical scene in the
With the rake in the skull.
movie.
I mean, that was a
It
great
reminded
moment.
me of
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead when they're like hitting the guy with the pool sticks and that Queen song is playing.
So, I mean,
Alright.
what's happening there? Like,
He is super zombie,
I
yeah.
thought he was a normal zombie. Oh wait, he didn't get killed with that rake in the
I
head.
mean, normally zombies
I
go
didn't
down easier than
but I
that.
didn't even see them as any of them as zombies.
Was
until
that the guy in
point.
the truck?
I have no. I
Yeah,
thought the
I
zombie
haven't
was the guy who
heard
got
of
I thought
struck
it was
by
the guy in the
lightning.
truck.
Dead guy in picture.
I
That's
thought
what I wrote
the
down.
dead guy in the picture was the
Does it
fellow.
matter that much?
No.
Kind of, because he's going over to that truck that more than once, that's a reference point. Like he's visiting that
It's got
body
like
and
candles around it.
yeah. So there's
there's candles inside the dash.
Yeah, and the devil like goes to the car like
Yes.
looking for him, and he looks like he's confused why he's not
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Like I don't get that.
So
that
what
was
was
just
that?
as the guy, not the devil. Remember, there's two entities in the
The
body.
Japanese
Not
man.
necessarily though. Is there necessarily?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
because the lady spells it out at the end. It's like you doubted an innocent man and then acted on it. That was your sin. That was what the devil was playing off of. That's what sealed his fate.
Whoa, wait. So you think that? Whoa, okay, that makes sense.
Wait, so
that does make sense.
his
That
sin,
was the primary sin.
Val, can you
Say that
repeat
again?
What was
He
his
went
sin?
fishing. He sowed doubts on a humble foreign man, and then someone started acting on those doubts. Went to his house and started bothering him. Broke into his home, and then basically from there, they started acting as if he was guilty. And while the movie does kind of go hand in hand with him basically doing these things while also not doing those things, it's just that there's a duality to him, and there's a good man in there. And
Sorry.
Yeah, and the fact that Jung, basically, him and his friends go there to kill him, and they eventually kind of successfully do, and make sure the job is finished by throwing him off the side. That's what seals his fate, because he just went and committed violence, murder. There's no love, compassion, or anything in there.
Wasn't it after they find all that stuff though?
Question though,
John
is
Goose
this
said that. He's like, but that was after.
Okay,
Because the
so-
lady says that to him.
Yeah, he's just like, what the fuck?
But I did it after.
okay, so a question about the overall meaning of this movie. Okay, so or device of it is that yes, it falls within the horror genre, but this is a tragedy. My question is this more so a Shakespearean or a Greek tragedy? Now, in a Shakespearean tragedy, the idea is that the tragic figure has some say in his or her fate. Obviously, there are exceptions because, like King Lear, Macbeth, they don't really have a say, right? It's more, but the Greek tragedy model is that you have no say, and it's just it was going to happen
So
this
it's
way.
that
No
way.
matter what you did, you're
Maybe.
just like the gods of the puppeteers. You're on their strings. Ain't nothing you can do.
I mean, if he had made the correct random choice
could
at the
this guy
end,
have done anything, or
he could have randomly made the right choice at the end. It was a 50-50 random shot. It was a flip of a coin.
Well, he got a very bad deal, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything this guy could have done. It feels like an Hereditary. Like there's
Exactly.
nothing
It
you
was
can
just,
do.
they're kind of fucked.
This movie just feels like you're fucked. I'm not saying he doesn't have shortcomings. He's a bumbling fool, but like, what could he have really done?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Do you think he could have done anything really?
Him as a person? No.
Yeah.
I
But
think if
isn't
the woman
that
in
what-
white had stepped it up and made her intentions more clear to him, I don't know why she was being so vague.
We don't know why though. That's the thing. We don't know why. Maybe
I
she's
want
like-
to add that there is a alternate ending
What?
What?
or extended ending. Sorry, don't quote me on that. It's one of those, okay?
The devil gives him a pass.
And
Boy, that's what I want for
It's-
the ending to be even longer.
It's that. So everything happens the same, but the next scene is the shaman business guy picking up the devil and driving away with the woman in white just like staring as they drive away.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
Alternate.
meant like she was in the car with them. It was
No.
all, it was all
Yeah,
big
they were
fuckery.
all in cahoots.
They're all.
They put on sunglasses.
It was all big fuckery from spirits.
I thought
and-
you were
and
going to say
things.
that Young like wakes up. It was all a dream, and then he turns over and like
Turns
the
out he's
devil
still
is
the
like-
dad. He's still the dad from Malcolm in the Middle the whole time. It's
What's the other alternate ending?
No, that was that. It was like
Oh, I thought you said there's two.
no, It was either an alternate ending or like extended, but like
Oh, okay.
he picks him up and like the pictures drop or something and like
I was kind of
They
hoping
drive
for
away.
the happy ending.
no.
Yeah,
So-
right. The American version.
What was I can't pronounce the daughter's name. Can any of you pronounce?
it was Hyo Jin.
Yeah, Hyojin.
Hyojin. So the day after,
Poor girl.
What do you think Hyojin's up to? The
Probably
day after,
eating
She's
or
still possessed.
Yeah.
Didn't you see her eyes are...
I know, but do you think Hyojin like just now just the adventures of Hyojin? Do you think she's just off, like, going to other villages, cursing people?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what
didn't the
they are
shaman
doing.
say basically if this demon
they're
takes
doing it
hold
to
of your
every town.
daughter, basically
she's not
he said
gonna go
everything
off
on
on her-
two
She
legs
can't.
is
She's
doomed
like-
or whatever.
Yeah, everything in the
that's
in the
her
whole
village she was supposed to protect.
village,
That
right?
sucks.
I thought he
Yeah.
just meant everything.
Man,
on
Hyojin
on
got a
Earth
bad
was
rep
doomed.
too.
Oh, I don't know.
I
Not
think everyone got a
dogs.
bad
I took it
rep.
to
Yeah.
the village.
Okay, well that's not that big of a
I think they were
Damn.
speaking in context of the village.
Okay, well I don't care about that village, so it's fine.
I also
Yeah,
wrote
man.
down old guy strength because it looks like it'd be pretty hard to take him down.
Oh yeah.
Japanese man?
So
Yeah.
the only
He does look
winners,
tough.
the only winners in this movie are the devil and his shaman buddy, basically.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, at least somebody won.
Uh,
Yeah.
I kind of like that the shaman guy is just some normal guy working with the devil.
Yeah, just some guy.
It's very lucrative business.
It's like, you want me to trick people so you can take their souls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the devil. Cool.
And I
Let's
get to
go.
make 10 grand each time.
10 grand.
I will
10 grand?
quote myself from episode 2.
Do you think,
You'd be surprised how motivated you can be when you get rid of your morals.
Yeah. and people thought that episode was unmemorable or incoherent.
It's very memorable. It is
Yeah.
incoherent.
Do you think that which one in their partnership, the devil and the shaman buddy, like which one do you think like
Is the top.
or that or well is that a BDSM reference? But like this is like the silent partner. Do you think like because the whole point of the devil is the devil doesn't reveal himself.
But
I
he
mean,
did at
he
the
did
end.
Bad
He did at
job
the
of that.
end.
But I mean, he made it clear that guy wasn't going to be alive. at
The
end.
shaman,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
the shaman's business card, like shaman and
I don't know. This almost, now that we're talking about it, it's almost satanic propaganda because, like,
yeah.
Jesus was so weak in this movie. He couldn't even save a priest from the devil.
He wasn't
Yeah.
even there.
The Jesus, yeah, he didn't have any presence at all, really.
Jesus went on vacation. He was like,
Well, I guess the woman
Oh
in
my
white
gosh,
was some sort of
Yeah.
agent.
She should have shown up with a machine gun.
She was
like
just
South
like a
Park.
friendly
She failed.
neighborhood
She
spirit.
failed miserably.
What started as simple Christian propaganda turned into like the ultimate Jesus piece. I mean, the devil piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get that right.
I mean, if the most she can do to signal that like she needs attention is like throw rocks, then that's not.
I
gonna do
am.
shit.
I'm sure there's a list of things that here's what you can't do as a ghost, alright? You can't directly involve.
Why not, though?
You can't
I
do
mean,
this.
Maybe she's an angel
can't
or
do
something.
I'm
this.
with
She's an
Indy.
angel
I'm with
ghost.
Indy though. The woman in white could have said a pretty vague the whole way through. Like,
Yeah, the home
I
team
understand
was
the
not-
reason in
was
the
not
movie
there.
was probably there were rules that God gave her.
Ghost
Basically,
rules.
you can't help in any direct way.
Uh-huh.
Just come down and
Can't
toss
be
some
helpful.
rocks and say some vague platitudes, and he'll probably figure it,
It
out
was like
based
the
on
worst. It was like the worst game of charades ever. Where it was just like no good clues whatsoever. I got nothing.
Yes.
I don't know what you want. Like,
It was Xanadu. Xanadu.
that. I'm sure that's a
It's
Simpsons
dignity.
reference.
No, it's
No.
don't you know dignity when you see it?
Had too much coffee.
Alright, well,
Yeah.
do we want to wrap it up then?
Yeah.
How's that sound, fellas?
Give our ratings.
Oh, I
Yes.
thought we were gonna go 3 hours. You know?
Yeah, in honor of this
Indy.
one thing that I think we should touch on.
Mhm.
Edgar, before we started the movie, you said that it touches on a number of different genres. And I thought that was pointed.
Yeah.
Because there was like the satanic stuff, there was the witchcraft stuff, there was the zombie stuff, there was the noir stuff, right? Actually, the first murder that he comes upon, where he's wearing the raincoat, I was getting hardcore Blade Runner vibes,
Oh, yeah.
which made me very
Yeah.
happy.
There it was again. Feeling in myself. For her. For Rachel.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah,
the
it was
cigarette and,
like a mystery of like, okay, who's doing these murders?
Yeah.
Is it demonic or is this based on reality? And pretty fucking hilarious. At least for me, it was funny to watch it.
Noir is timeless. Rain is
stuff.
timeless. I mean, have you seen Seven?
No,
It's
I
the
don't
whole
do this.
movie. It's
Yeah.
raining. It just works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course,
That was a good movie.
the
You
spell
haven't
is
seen
broken.
Seven?
The spell is broken, of course. No. The spell is broken, of course, when you realize that he's a bumbling cop. Like, this isn't going to be Blade Runner.
Yeah.
But,
no, not at all.
maybe we should watch 7. I'm down to watch 7.
It's great.
I just wanted to touch on
Wait,
that. I
do
don't
you
know,
not
like,
like that movie?
it touches
No, I
on
like
a
Seven.
number
I
of
was like,
genres.
what?
I was saying that movie is very clear and direct.
as
Yeah.
opposed
As
to
opposed
this
to-
one.
Got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Now I got it.
Here's something interesting, and I always find this interesting in foreign films and stuff. So much of like their stuff has English on it. The police tape had English on it. Their hat said police in
I did
English
not think about
on the
that.
back. A lot of the
Yeah.
street
I never noticed
signs
that.
had English on, and I see that in a lot of foreign films, and I just find that interesting because we don't do that at all here.
I mean, it's English.
Maybe
Now,
we should.
why
Common
wouldn't we,
second
right?
language.
Maybe we should. Maybe there would be less crime if we had like more things in Korean. You know.
So the Korean criminals realize that those are police,
Yeah.
and they won't commit a crime.
Because they know what's the point.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. They don't
yeah.
think we have police because
Yeah.
they can't read the English police.
I just can't get over how the cops are completely defenseless. Like, what is
I think it is
strange?
like that. Like I was thinking about it. It is like that in some Asian countries.
Nothing though, not
Literally nothing.
a nightstick to.
They teach them how to do like taekwondo. I mean, I'm dropping a
That's
martial art.
racist.
Or,
I'm
or at
serious.
least not these cops.
Not even a ninja store?
Not even a katana. Yeah, that opening shot of the guy. I know we're trying to wrap it up, but when he first gets to the crime scene and that guy is sitting there outside of the house, I thought that was like a burnt dead body. But then you kind of
Yeah.
when he moves, he moves and you see his
Yes.
handcuffs
You realize he's in
on.
handcuffs.
That's
Yes.
pretty chilling. There's a
Oh,
lot
by
of
the way,
Yeah.
I'm not-
visual, horrifying imagery in this movie. When I said it's not scary, yes,
He
there's some
needs to
great
see
imagery.
7, so I'm not going to give it away, but it made me think of that scene. You know what I'm talking about. I just want you to see that scene.
Righty then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Who wants to start it off? Val or Indy?
Which end?
Which end? Are we-
Okay. Like I said, there's a lot of great stuff in this movie. I really think the cinematography and the production design, the whole look of it is like second to none. Seriously, it looks amazing. Like you said, the acting is great. The filmmaking in general is very strong. Direction. The script is just it gets crazy to me. I don't understand it. Part of that's probably because it's in a language I don't speak. But I think this movie kind of falls apart at the end and really drags. Like the last 30 minutes, I'm just like, can we please just get on with it? As far as film reels go, I don't know. I'm torn between a 3 and a 4. I haven't done a half yet, but I think
Don't go half.
Look,
Well, he made the graphics for it.
I
He
made the
did
graphics.
too. Yeah.
but
It's his graphics.
no, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 3
Do what feels
on
right.
film reels just because I just
Damn.
think the script just really could be way better, way tighter.
Is this like a writer's strike thing? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
that's
doing? Okay.
sure. And for VHS tapes, I like the first 2 hours of the movie, but the whole last half hour weighs the entire thing down for me. It leaves a terrible taste in my mouth, despite how good pretty much everything was up to that point and how enjoyable it all was. I just walk away feeling very done with the movie. I don't want to think about it because I was just dying for it to end for so long, and then once it's over, I'm like, all right, cool. Let me think about anything else. So, fortunately, I'm gonna have to give it a 2 out of 5 on the VHS tapes. This is probably the first movie I haven't loved on this show. That's that. I love the occult stuff, the aesthetic. Like I said, everything visually awesome. I feel like I gave it enough praise for people aren't gonna hate me for not liking it, but
Jagger's gonna hate you.
yeah.
No, I'm not.
3 film reels, 2 VHS tapes. That's my take. So yeah.
Right on. It's occurring to me now that I should have been thinking about this ahead of time. But
That's funny.
so before I forget, you made me think, Indy. One of the things that I really crave in a movie is a sort of rule set. And obviously, like, real life doesn't generally give you rules, right? It's kind of a free-for-all. But, like, art, you generally get a sense for the rules. And even if the art leaves it open to interpretation. It leaves it open to interpretation. It's like ambiguous. My qualm with this movie in particular is like, okay, they leave you guessing, and they throw you off the trail very purposefully. And you kind of get a sense that there are rules, like we said, with like rules of conduct for this like woman in white who's like maybe some sort of angel or agent of God or whatever, probably. And the guy, the Japanese man, obviously is inhabited by the devil. My problem though is that it's not ambiguous in the end. The ending is not ambiguous. The devil clearly wins, and it's not really clear why. Like, they made a choice. Like, evil succeeded, right? So my qualm is like, why? Why did evil succeed? It's not. They didn't really say anything about that.
Because the agent of God wasn't allowed to do anything.
Yeah, but why was she not allowed to do anything, but the devil was? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, the devil did all sorts of shit. Like, he had free reign. I mean, okay, maybe upon deeper reflection, like, maybe I need more time to process, like, maybe the devil, like, played on the people, and that's how he got his power.
There is a biblical explanation to that, just saying.
I mean, maybe so. There very well may be. Maybe, I guess I missed it.
Would you like it or no? Well, never mind.
So okay.
No.
I wanted to say that before I, like, lost the thought. The imagery was great. The acting, just wow. As for the horror genre, I love that I was scared by this movie, and I'm a novice compared to all these guys. Like, I literally just started watching horror less than a year ago. But I was scared in a totally new way by this movie. Honestly, the acting, like, I know I've said, this is the third time I'm saying it, but this is my take, right? The acting, like, there's the gurney scene where the guy, like, the man who did that scene when he's, like, dying of these boils, like, whatever's inside of him is killing him. That was viscerally horrifying. I mean, I'm literally sitting in my chair and I'm like pressing harder and harder up against the back because I'm just like tensing up and watching this guy do his thing. It's kind of like The Thing, where like the art, you can tell like, okay, this guy's acting, or like the art is like, it's clearly like this, someone like made this in a studio, but the art is so horrifying, like so deeply horrifying, and you know what it's like indicating. It gets you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that scene. Yeah,
and the film did it in a number of ways. I just like that's like the most easy way to like concretely express that. Okay, so I liked the movie. It didn't like tick some of the boxes that I would like personally like ticked. So VHS tapes. I'd say 4, because I mean, the reasoning, like the rational, explanations for things like getting a grip isn't really necessary to be moved by the movie. I was moved. Objectively, I'd give it a 4.5. I feel like it was well executed from beginning to end, and to like dovetail on what Indy said. Yeah, maybe it could be shorter. I suppose it probably could be shorter. But I mean, I don't know. I don't want to fault it for that, though, because they were telling story from beginning to end. Or not. Na Hong Jin was telling, he who wrote it and directed it.
I don't think it's, a long movie isn't necessarily bad.
Well, no. I understand.
I don't like.
This one in particular, though, I think they made use of all that screen time. I'll give it a 4.5. 4.5 for film rules. That's what I got.
Sorry, how many VHS tapes?
4.
Okay.
They said 4.5.
4.
Oh,
4.5 objective.
Oh, my
film
bad.
reels.
Okay.
4 VHS tapes, 4.5 film reels.
Nice.
That's what I got.
All right, so The Wailing. I saw this movie first time maybe 3 years ago on Shudder, and watched it with my wife and my sister, and we had to watch it in 2 takes because an hour and a half in, we're like, what is going on? And we saw it's still another hour and a half, and we're like, holy shit, this is a long movie. So we watched it, and after finishing it, both during those sessions, I was terrified. I really felt for Jung-gu. Like Alex said, the acting was awesome. It was very... it had a lot of similarities for me to like The Exorcist in terms of like a parent trying their best to help their child, and they have no power over it really, and he's desperate. And the director, I think, did an awesome job just like visually storytelling. It was so weird and unique. You know, I like the ambiguity, even though I didn't get it the first 3 times now. There's still some things I miss, but upon other watches, I like understand it a little bit more, or I get a little bit more from it, knowing that like the way the story's going to go. Now I can afford to pay attention to different things or see different perspectives. And even knowing those different perspectives, it's still a little confusing because the director does leave it ambiguous in terms of like what part was a dream, what part was real. I was terrified the first time around, and now it's still pretty creepy, like that scene of the devil at the end. And it was super scary for me. I loved it. Trying to see what else I can sum up here in terms of anything I'm leaving out, but yeah, acting was incredible. I loved the story, and I mentioned it earlier, and Alex said a little bit earlier, but I do like that it is under the horror umbrella, but it is kind of like there's a mystery in there, and then it's so tense because you don't know what is going on, you don't know who to trust, and there are hints scattered around. Some of them aren't concrete, and a lot is left up to interpretation, and a lot is not left up to interpretation because it is shown and stated. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to give it 5 VHS tapes because I personally loved it. And I also think it's a pretty well-made movie, so I'm going to give it 4 film reels.
Nice.
Okay. I'm going to use my time mostly to unpack all the various biblical themes that went unexplored.
Can't wait.
Stick around. That's in the bonus, the Bible bonus material.
The
Michael's
Patreon.
going to record that in his car. On the
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Alex, you said that you were sort of an amateur, you hadn't seen much horror. I'm a fellow horror neophyte, and I'm very appreciative for a number of reasons for what we're doing. This podcast of ours, but also because I otherwise probably wouldn't be watching that much horror, and I've now have this growing respect and appreciation for it. It's not because I was like, oh, I don't like horror. Just for whatever reason, I never really jumped on the bandwagon, and so this is fun. This is cool. It's like far from like my favorite genre, but it doesn't really matter what the genre is. There's great stuff within any genre, and the thing about with this movie is it's tough because it's like on one hand, there's parts of this movie where it's just like we discussed, where it's like I'm not sure if this is my poor comprehension or if some of this stuff is just inexplicable. I'm not quite sure. It's probably column A, column B. There's a lot of this movie where I don't know so much if it drags, but it's just like I don't know what's happening, and so there's some cognitive dissonance, which is a little bit frustrating, and so for me that like dings it a little bit as far as like my own personal satisfaction. But having said that, this movie. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It is one of the most beautifully shot movies I've seen in quite some time. I would say Citizen Kane, and then this movie. No, but this movie, it really is like it's a visual feast, and there's just so many shots where I would like to just freeze it and just look at this composition. Yeah. Look at all the beautiful details it's draped with. This movie was made so lovingly, and a lot of times horror movies, or at least that genre, from an outsider's perspective, it's like you're not going to get that type of skill in within that genre. Usually, slasher flicks, just like cheap thrills. This is an exquisite, beautiful movie to watch. So, coupling it with that, it's like that side of it I want to give 5. But because of this movie, I found, and maybe it would be different on a rewatch. It probably would be, right? It would catch a lot of things, but because so much of it was confounding, and there was so much cognitive dissonance, and there were times when I just felt like, I hate saying this because I think it's just such a well-made movie, but it's just like so many dream sequences where it almost felt like a little cop-outy. It's just like, it's easy to just do the dream sequence device. It's like it's the best friend of the soap opera. So I would say harsh. Like it's harsh, but it's so beautifully made and it's so well acted. A+ on the cinematography, on the acting, and the script is compelling, and the ending is cool as shit. I really like the ending. So I would say for full satisfaction for the VHS tapes, I'm going to give it 3.5. Because again, the aspects of it that were just frustrating to me, and at times just felt this doesn't make any sense. Like that brought it down. And then part of me wants to rewatch the movie to see, like, what did I miss? There's another part of me that's like, do I want to go through that cognitive dissonance again? I don't know. So, anyways. And then, for the film reels, it's also, I feel like, setting my confusion aside, it's a really solid movie. So, 4 film reels for the more objective criticism. Okay.
Nice.
What did I...
Did you say 4 and 4?
No.
3 and a half. 3 and a half and 4.
And 4 VHS tapes and then 4 film reels.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool.
I've been thinking about this, and I want to say I like this movie, but I also don't like this movie at all.
I think that's fair.
I think it's a competent movie, and it's beautiful, but it is an unanchored project to put you in the headspace of a bumbling buffoon who can't get a grip, acting as a cautionary tale that overindulges itself with a 3 and whatever hour runtime of just
it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, of just like misdirection. And it's like, I don't think I'd ever watch this again. I don't feel the need to investigate this movie any further, really. But it is competent. I will give it that. But it could have been more concise. Things could have been cut out that were unnecessary or could have been put together to utilize less overall time. There could have been more levity moments to just keep you going, because like right at the end it really tries to really pull you in, but you really need to feel an attachment to the characters in the first place, and I think that's why it feels the need to have such a long runtime. Because honestly, I kept watching the ball get fumbled by this character, and I was like, I wouldn't mind if he did die. And I caught myself saying that. I was like, no, that's fair. And so I'm going to give this 3 film reels. And then out of VHS tapes, I'm going to give it 1.
And that's why we call him Val the Hammer.
Yeah. And I'd like to apologize to our Korean viewers for how stupid I must seem for not understanding this film. But
for Val, all he sees is nails to hammer. Everything is a nail to Val.
And that goes along with whatever Christ metaphor you guys are talking about.
Hey,
the hole in the hand.
The stigmata.
Sure.
Oh, man.
All right, well, that was episode 5.
Correct.
Of our podcast. Thanks for watching if you stuck around. We are announcing...
Alex's pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to announce our next episode, so take it away, Alex.
Drum roll.
Oh, you're going for the intro. Sorry. like
all right.
intro.
It's all
right. Okay, cool. So I was telling the guys that, well, as I've mentioned, I'm not nearly as seasoned as the men who sit around me. So one of the when it comes to film, I don't know nearly as much as any of you. So one of the things that I was looking for when I wanted to make my pick, and for the record, I'm going last because these guys were gentlemen and they let me go last. So I've had a lot of time to think about this. One of the things that I wanted to do was like pick a quality film. Obviously, you know, like I don't know film too well, like, but well, I mean, so I'll my guess. So okay, I wanted it to be a quality film. I wanted it to be something that the least of us have seen. But also, we've talked a lot about the 70s, which I only recently learned was called the Renaissance of Hollywood, or the Hollywood Renaissance.
It was?
Yeah. That's the term, right? The Hollywood Renaissance?
Sure it was.
Well, I think in the late 70s when like Coppola and Lucas and Scorsese and those guys were all coming up, they called that New Hollywood, and I think it's still referred to as that, even though it's not very new anymore. But.
Well, the book that I'm reading out of 1001 Movies, right? They refer to this period as the Renaissance.
I'd go with that.
I'm just quoting here, like, but
what does it have to say about the Bible?
Oh yeah, so one of the films.
sorry.
Earlier today, I was thinking to myself, maybe,
sorry.
like you were saying, like, we have 3 Bible or 3 Jesus episodes in a row. I was literally earlier today. I was like, Life of Brian was done in 1979. Maybe I'll pick the Life of Brian. I was very close.
He's choosing Pastor the Christ.
Yeah, I know.
No, so I'm not gonna do. I was very close to picking Life of Brian, which I do think it would fit the bill. But the pick that I made, I say again, and my bet is that only Michael has seen it, and it's at the very beginning of the decade, and it connects to one of the themes that we've had, which is a French theme. It's credited. It's one of the 3 films that's credited. It's one of the 3 films that's credited with the
I think I just
cop movie. The cop movie rebirth in the 70s. The French Connection.
Awesome.
Great.
I've never seen it.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
You've seen it.
Of course.
Haven't seen it. Yeah, I was right. Michael's the only one who hasn't seen it.
No,
Bonus
you've
points
seen it,
for
you
that.
said.
No,
He hasn't seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The guy that made The Exorcist.
Awesome. Huh?
The guy that made The Exorcist.
Oh, Coppola. Wait, no. It's the oh shit.
He did.
I
French
should
Connection.
know. I should know. Wait, who is it? I should know this.
Peter something.
Peter Sellers?
Yeah,
No.
Frank-
All right. Well,
Peter Bradley or
you'll
something.
find out in the
Peter
next episode.
Billingsley?
It's 1971. It was like
Yeah.
right at the beginning of the decade, and like I
That
was
was a
like,
game changer. You're right. Yeah.
What's
right on, nice.
Yeah.
What's the premise?
Okay, so the premise is it's a cop movie, and
Oh wait, I don't want to know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want to know the premise.
oh okay,
I just want to come in blind.
Same.
cool. All right.
You'll
Basically,
probably-
he made that movie, and then they gave him like the keys to make The Exorcist. They're like, okay, we
I'm not giving away
Nice.
anything.
Which was
in
2
the
years
movie,
later.
but You'll
Yeah.
recognize shots from it. Gene Hackman's awesome. Such a good
And that
actor.
is that
The
going to be
conversation.
our season finale? Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That will
That's,
be the run of
yeah.
each one of
Well,
us.
what was
doing
that?
an
Tune in.
episode.
That episode's going to end on
That's
a
gonna be our
massive
season
cliffhanger.
finale.
Oh, got you.
Can't
got
wait
you.
for season 2.
Is that the
Yeah.
Is that the episode where we read all the fan mail? There's a lot of fan mail.
Yeah. I have a giant box of fan mail.
So
It keeps
thanks for
piling up.
watching. Please
There's just not
subscribe,
enough time.
like the videos on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Instagram,
Social media.
all our social media pages.
Tell me what you think of my fashion. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Don't forget to
Be
like
nice.
and subscribe.
We appreciate it.
If your friends don't know
Don't
anything
forget to
about
like and
BDSM,
subscribe.
Oh yeah, and don't
Yeah.
forget to like and subscribe.
All right.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Tell your friends.
should we all clap at once?
No.
And for the poor you may